Hello, I'm Eddy P, reporting on the Salt Marsh News. We'll be talking about the biodiversity in the water down at the Salt Marsh in Newport, Rhode Island. We have Matt Spring and Cam Edward on the scene live, talking about the roles that all the organisms play in the equilibrium of the salt marsh. To you, Matt.
It's a beautiful day down here on the salt marsh, and we have plenty of life in the water. There are certain roles that the organisms play down here, for instance. Fish provide food for other animals, shrimp also provide food for other animals, and play a big role in the food chain. Phytoplankton eat the plants and are then eaten by other animals, and they are basically the start of the big food chain. Plants provide oxygen for animals in the water. They provide food for animals as well. Crabs are predators and prey in the salt water. Therefore, they play a big role in the food chain. All organisms have an effect on the salt marsh. Back to you, Eamon.
Thanks, Matt. Now that we know about the animals, it's time to talk about our effects as humans on the salt marsh. We have Cam to talk about the topic. To you, Cam.
Everything has an effect on ecosystems like the salt marsh. The coast is a highly attractive natural feature to humans through its beauty, resources, and accessibility. As of 2002, over half of the world's population was estimated to be living within 60 kilometers of the coastal shoreline, making coastlines highly vulnerable to human impacts from daily activities that put pressure on these surrounding natural environments. In the past, salt marshes were perceived as coastal wastelands, causing considerable loss to change these ecosystems through land reclamation for agriculture, urban development, salt production, and recreation. The indirect effects of human activities, such as nitrogen loading, also play a major role in the salt marsh area. Salt marshes can suffer from dieback in the high marsh and die off in the low marsh. To help the cause, humans could pick up the slack with pollution.
Thanks, Cam. With animals and humans having an impact on the salt marsh, we should ask the question, what effect do floods, natural causes, have on salt marsh? To you, Matt.
A flood can raise water levels by flooding other animals that may be possibly prey. This makes the animals that are looking for food travel elsewhere. This affects the whole ecosystem because everything in the salt marsh is a chain reaction.
Now that we've talked about the effects everything has on the salt marsh, we have Cam to talk about the trophic levels. To you, Cam.
The plants are the lowest level of the trophic levels. Then phytoplankton are the second in the line of trophic levels. The third level of the trophic levels is shrimp. Fourth would be the crabs. Then finally, the fish are on the top.
Thanks, Cam. This just in. We have news on the equilibrium at the salt marsh. We have Matt to talk about the topic. To you, Matt.
If the blue crab population grows particularly large one year, the total population will require more fish to feed it. This will make the fundulus heterocytus population shrink.
And now that we have talked about the impacts and the trophic levels, we'll finish off about talking about the energy down at the salt marsh.
In the salt marsh, there are many producers. Producers could be examples such as cattail grasses, otherwise known as Sotera pumila pallidifusca. There are also cordgrass, or Spartina. Another example of a producer in the beautiful salt marsh would be detritus. Now, in the salt marsh, there are many consumers. Consumers could be periwinkles, or Catharine roseus, sheepshead minnow, Cyprinodon varisatus. Decomposers could be bacteria, fungi, blue crab, or the Calinectus sapidus. Back to you, Eamon.
Where does biodiversity in the water fall into the concept of energy flow? Salt marshes occur on low energy shorelines in temperate and high latitudes.
Another frequent question that is asked about the salt marsh is, how does the energy pass through biodiversity in the water? Well, sunlight. Sunlight is the answer. It helps each organism at the salt marsh get their energy that is needed to live. It provides energy for plants in the water, such as algae or any plant type in the water. Other organisms, such as fish, feed off of those plants that get their energy.
Thank you. I'm M. Phelps. Good night, Jim Kite.